All right, good afternoon, everybody. We'll get started. Troy, would you lead us in a word of prayer? Sure. Sorry for the fast.
No problem. Our Heavenly Father, we're grateful for this opportunity to gather together to participate in the people's work. We are grateful for the blessings of this day. We ask Thee to bless our proceedings this day, that we might be guided by Thy hand, that we will continue to make efforts to follow the example of our Savior, Jesus Christ. And this we ask and pray in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Harris. We've got a couple of guests this morning. I've got a page, and he's been working for me at Sweet Creek for about, I guess, almost 3 years now. And Zach is doing a good job. Zach Wilson, thank you. Good work. I've got another guest, my son Chase Ingram, right here. First time he's been to a committee meeting, but glad to have him. Thanks for coming. All right, if you would mute your phones, and we'll get started on the first bill. If you would, HB 287. Oh yeah, call roll. Let's call roll.
Representative Ingram,
Here.
Representative Wood, Dr. Boyd, Representative Hurst, Representative Standridge,
Here.
Representative Clark, Representative Crawford,
Here.
Representative Jones, Representative Fiddler, here. Representative Hammett,
Here.
Representative Harrison,
Here.
Representative Hope Jones,
Here.
Representative Stubbs,
Here.
Representative Datcher.
Here.
You have a quorum, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. You're up. You've got the floor.
Thank you,
HB
Mr. Chairman.
287.
Members of this committee, I always come before the committees and say this august body of leaders here in the Alabama House of Representatives. I am State Representative Wanda Devan, representing House District 60. You have before you House Bill 287. On last week, the Speaker of the House asked me to carry this piece of legislation for the purpose because we are moving all of these crime bills, what seems to be an issue as we have been circulating about is getting a clear understanding and indication as to how many sworn law enforcement officers actually exist in many of these areas. In particular, these areas that are larger, class 1s to possibly class 3 municipality sizes. It's very complex. It seems to be where we can't always get this information, even if that municipality is working or is under the umbrella of the personnel board. And so because of what we're doing with the crime packages and also for transparency purposes, this bill would require a mandatory reporting each year of all full-time sworn law enforcement officers, sworn, APO certified officers, to the commission, the Standards and Training Commission, and they will have the responsibility of ensuring that the information has been submitted. Then once it is submitted, they will then send it to the Attorney General's office and ALEA. We have been working with ALEA on some of the amendments to the bill as you have before you, the sub rather. Then the other requirement will be that the first reporting will take place not later than July 1, 2025, and then every year subsequent to that, starting February 1, there will be a mandatory reporting. Why are we setting that time period after this sign? Because we're trying to capture the most accurate numbers in the most recent year, which of course would have been last year to the current time. So we can, again, as we move through these bills, through this process. Next, there will be a requirement, I covered that. Also, there will be an added requirement, which is already the law, but we're going to strengthen it, that they are required to also report timely their crime stats. We have some municipalities that are piecemealing these crime stats, and they are submitting them at their own pleasure, and that is no longer going to be acceptable here in the state of Alabama. If you have not submitted that information, there will be a penalty of a misdemeanor, as well as a not less than $100 to a $10,000 fine for that municipality if they fail to submit that information, to the crime commission. And I think there was one other thing, that I might have missed in here, you have the annual reporting. I think that may be at the crime commission, adding the stats, and I think that's it.
I've got a question on that fine, Representative. Is that gonna be based on daily that they don't report, or is that based on, are they gonna, how is that done?
I think the
didn't see it
commission
in
is probably going to give them a time certain, but it would definitely be if they are so derelict in that responsibility. And Mara, you might can answer, if we need to put a time in there, a certain, or the commission will have it at their discretion.
Oh, and which reporting?
If they don't report, it's up to a $10,000 fine?
Well,
So is that a $10,000 fine if they don't report by a certain time? Is that daily, or is that a year, or?
Well, it depends on which kind of report we're talking about. Some reports, like the crime reports, are supposed to be done within 72 hours. And they're not, but we're trying to work with agencies to make sure they can do that. There's other things that are just annual, and
It's already in the statute?
it is, and the
Okay.
commission's very flexible, but the commission sets rules on maybe even a dozen different types of reports that are required either by state law or by federal law. And this is for criminal justice and public safety agencies, but specifically in this case, we're talking about law enforcement agencies.
Thanks. Any questions for the council?
Is the Attorney General the one that levies the fine?
Well, it will come through the commission, will make the recommendation after exercising due diligence. And
Commission will
then
receive the information and then report it out.
to Aaliyah and
Representative Van, let's introduce your guest, have him come up.
Mara, come on up and help me on
Yeah.
this part.
Hi there. Good afternoon, ladies and
Tell us who
gentlemen.
you're with.
My name is Marty Mitchell. I'm the State Crime Information Director. I work in Aaliyah. And so anything related to criminal information, I'll be glad to answer your questions.
To follow up on
But
that,
this have to fall under the Attorney General's office, since that would be the,
that'll be the issue. And the officer or official of the municipality, is that the mayor or police chief? Who would that be?
it will fall upon, at the end of the day, the person who leads that city, ultimately has that responsibility.
So the mayor.
The mayor.
So you're saying the mayor may be fined $100 or no more than $10,000 if they don't do this, they don't make sure their police department.
It's already in the law,
Make
nobody's
sure
just
that-
imposing, and all we did was add it to this portion. But why, I can't answer you as to why no one's enforcing it, but I have a feeling after this bill passes, it will.
Well, we're required to turn in the number of crimes and all this kind of things. They don't do that either. That's not enforced. When do you think this will be?
I think it will. I think because we're putting a hard eye on this. Also, I'm glad you mentioned that, because this bill also, if you fail to report, and this was what was submitted to me Friday, to request that there be something for punitive, the grants and the funding that you get through ADECA will be placed on hold until you submit the report. So that adds the teeth to it. So I can guarantee you, they're gonna report it. Yeah. And that wasn't my recommendation, but I thought it was a very good one, and Alan Treadaway did too.
Representative Harris.
Is there any way that, I know this bill would address that, but is there any way to go back, say 5 years, to get trending data to make the past non-reported,
I hope it is, because we've been trying to figure that out.
to correct that?
Well, yes, sir. I've got statistics related to any kind of report that we do. The legislature's entitled to that. I can tell you how many agencies have reported their numbers. Now, right now, we don't have an audit mechanism in place. We accept what is provided to the agency. Yes, sir. This is by
Pass this around.
the number of, let me go this way. I'm sorry, I only printed 30 copies. This is by the number of officers that were reported last year, and we already have an electronic mechanism, so it's very easy for agencies to do this. We put this mechanism in place because the FBI is responsible for national crime statistics and reporting and crime information, NCIC, y'all may have heard of. But it's not mandatory, so it's a voluntary process. We try to get them to do. We send out compliance auditors to ask them to report all these things, but we haven't had a stick. That's one of the things. But the ADECA offering is probably the biggest stick we can get.
Well, we've got copies coming to everybody.
So if y'all are just curious about, now this is not every, well, there's, oh my goodness, I left the number on my desk. There's about 600 state, local, and county agencies. This is only going to have about 400 and something that actually reported. You'll see.
So if you're not on there, they didn't
report. There's zeros. Some of them logged in to do it, but they didn't put any numbers. So you got. This also shows the number of civilians in there and breaks it down by male and female too. So if y'all are interested. So.
All right, so we're talking about the sub back on it, members. Any more questions on the sub?
I do. Okay, back to the fine and all that. Okay. Now, is that an existing law?
There is an existing law that can be applied if you do not report as is required by state law. The state law also covers the oversight by the Justice Information Commission when they set the rules.
Does that tell who is responsible at the agency?
It does not. And one reason I look back, in terms of general reporting, we've never had a prosecution on that.
I think that's hard. That's the reason I mentioned it, because I worked in law enforcement for years. But when it says anybody's that doesn't do it, that's easy for somebody to say, well, it wasn't me that's supposed to do that. It was them that was supposed to do it. And so, so I think that's kind of hard with this language.
In here that it should have been the administrator over the city. I don't know why I thought it was in the first one.
I didn't see it, but the other thing is, just to kind of clear it up, this is not something that an agency would do a fine. This is a criminal charge. It says if.
It's already.
But it's already
there.
there.
No, but I'm just saying to clear it up for everybody.
It is.
There's asking. It's a criminal charge. It says that you can be arrested and prosecuted.
I didn't know it was in there, and so when we started, I overlooked it.
But then I think it's hard because it says any officer or official, and I know it's hard to say are you talking about the chief of police, the sheriff, the mayor,
Yes, sir.
who are you talking about? It don't say who's responsible.
We use this criminal statute if you fraudulently report, because we have had instances where intentional numbers were misplaced or.
That's easy to find.
Right.
You know who
and then in terms of the auditing for other kinds of reporting, when we do sanctions, we hold the CEO accountable, which is the chief or the sheriff or state government agency head, but we haven't prosecuted on any of that. So.
Yeah, and so I think that's why I think it's hard.
Or do you think we need to list that person? Because I
don't know. I mean, I appreciate what you're trying to do. I appreciate what you're trying to do here. I just, it needs to say who's responsible to do it.
Well,
I mean,
Well, what should the amendment say?
that it actually names
names
the official, or do we say?
I don't know. It's just, I think it's ambiguous now to say, because if you go to that person and say, well, that wasn't my responsibility.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I've
Someone's
looked at-
gonna shift the responsibility, so we just, I thought it was in the original, so I don't know how I missed it, but
But y'all can look at it, there might be something that refers to it or something, but
it would have been, like you said, the,
Chief executive officer of
Chief
the
executive
agency is responsible for ultimately making sure the agency submits. So I don't know if you wanted to add that in there.
I don't know, but it's something to try to, because you want it to be enforceable, that's why you're here.
yeah, I want it, so I don't have a
That's why
problem with
you're
that. I don't know where you all's person.
You want to make copies of that?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's a quick fix.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And for the event, I agree with you. I will always err on the side of transparency. I think that's always important. I would follow up there because didn't the legislature authorize churches and those kind of folks to have police departments? So then is the pastor that person who's gonna be responsible? We're gonna be finding and jailing a pastor at community colleges and college universities. We're talking about the presidents of those institutions being held accountable at a county level, at a county commission. I mean, they're like in Birmingham, with Jefferson County, we have 5 county commissioners. Who would be the ultimate responsible authority? I think those things
I
become.
think it's clear. I think if we need to amend this, because listen, let me say this about this piece of legislation. I think that it's either going to be or should be either. For me, it starts at the top. If you have a duty to respond, you have to depart all of these departments that respond. Someone's at the top to say this is what we need to be. So if it's either the mayor, or it's either the mayor and or the CEO over that police department, whoever that person is, and I agree with you, Standards, we do need to identify, and that could be why these municipalities are taking advantage of the law and not reporting. Because who are you gonna hold? So I would venture to say, then, we would say then the chief, if you know, that would be my recommendation. But I just think we need to be able to get these numbers.
Can I finish, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Just a couple other quick things. One is, I do think that there's a lot of ambiguity in terms of who that person is. Again, in a place like a county commission, you just have multiple folks who are responsible. And I know we don't want to pursue pastors at churches. I know we don't want to pursue college, university presidents. You know, and then some of these agencies, now that they have police department authorities, a DECA is not even a funding mechanism for some of these folks. DECA doesn't impact University of Alabama or Briarwood Church or those kind of folks. So what we have now is kind of not a level playing field for applying penalties to folks who are accountable to the same law. And so I think we need to, you know, I think that we need to find a way. I mean, do we know how many folks are not responding
I
currently?
know one thing, I know Birmingham is not fully responding, they still
I'm
only
not-
have listed 65 dead bodies, and we had almost 160 last year.
That-
They
that-
didn't
can I-
give the information, so I can only tell you
Can I not
about
be
the city
interrupted?
that well, you asked the question, and
I didn't-
but you asked
I
the
didn't
question,
finish.
but you asked it, so
All
I
right,
didn't know you were
let the
finished.
representative get through, if you would.
So I mean,
So let's keep the dialogue. If you're asking her question, let's
Absolutely,
let her
yes, sir.
respond, you know.
Some of
Yes, sir.
that might be answered in the county municipal government requirements, and some of it is APO certification, with security and things like that.
And
so where does that live?
I'm sorry?
Where does that live? Like, where's the details of that?
We
It's not
talked
here.
about require state, county, municipal law enforcement agencies to report.
Right, so we're saying the police chiefs and the sheriffs are gonna be criminally accountable to reporting?
Aaliyah, would you like to answer that?
In my opinion, that is the person responsible for the
Whether it's
operations
the
of the
county,
agency.
whether it's the city, but the municipal, I mean, the universities aren't included, or schools or churches are not gonna be included in.
Well, university police departments.
Police
are
department,
included in this. There are about 17.
But not the churches, to clear his question up.
Why when they, don't they have the authority? So they have the authority to create police departments, right?
For
We have
security.
no religious organizations.
And not everybody, I wanna say this, not all agencies have APO certified officers also. So that's gonna also be the balancing test there. But those are municipalities, and especially our class 1, class 2, class 3 municipalities. They know who they are, and they know that they have a responsibility, and they have engaged chiefs to oversee these departments that should be held accountable in getting that information to the proper reporting authority.
And most of what we have on problems on reporting is gonna be in municipalities, am I right? You have very few problems on the sheriff's side, or do you not? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, probably well both.
So we need to hold both of them.
The sheriffs are responsible when I talk to them pretty well.
Is this a solution in in search of a problem? That's what I'm asking. Like, although I do think we all need to have information. But like sworn officers, for instance, like we don't know what that means if there's no context. If a city has 487 officers, that's on paper. What does that mean?
Well, you got clarity on what officer.
No, I'm saying, how do we know in context that that's a good number, that's a bad number? Right?
This is done
We're
for,
not looking
for
for the
capital.
number, whether it's a good number or a bad number, we just wanna know the number. We can't get the public, the press, no one can seem to get the number of APO certified sworn officers. This has been a sticking point, and you know certainly, Mr. Datcher, that this has been an issue, especially within the city of Birmingham, on anyone getting the true, accurate number of sworn law enforcement officers. And let me say this, and I'm gonna close out. We've been down here for the last few weeks, all summer long. This building has been inundated because of, from the corporate community to everyday citizens that have been calling and begging for help and for pleas. We're asking for assistance and further assistance from the state. Well, we don't even know how many true officers we have in the city of Birmingham. It's not fair to anybody. And we need to get that information. And then at this point, it is the law that there is a duty to report. So I'm confused as to why this is such a sticking point. We can name the individual that needs to be named. If it's the chief, it's the chief. I have no problem with it. I just want to make sure that it's something that sticks and we get the information.
Representative Hope Jones.
And mine is just a comment without a question. You answered the question why you're doing it, because that was my first question. And you want the numbers. I'm wondering if there's some way, I mean, normally if you're doing a questionnaire, once you get into the form, you'll answer 3 questions or 5 questions. I'm curious how many they feel that they are understaffed, because I think that's a statistical data that we need to know too.
I haven't a clue. I don't know. I just know that Representative Treadaway and I, for the last years, we were sitting in a meeting with the chief, former chief Thurman, Sheriff Petway, and I just want to give you some context. We're sitting in a meeting. He called an emergency meeting. There were several legislators there, and what came up is the crime. And what he simply said, listen, we no longer have enough deputies to assist the city of Birmingham in the event of a catastrophic situation. So he said, what are we gonna do? He rolled out a few scenarios, and so the issue of numbers came up in that meeting that the sheriff called. The chief was sitting there with 2 of his deputy chiefs. So the question was, can you tell us right now the numbers? Well, we're sitting in there with the sheriff. He said, well, I can't give you that. So the question of all of us, even Treadaway, was why not? Well, I can't give that number out. And he said his boss would not allow him. I'm not here to talk about his boss, and it's his boss also. But I'm here because I want to get these issues resolved, and the people need to know. Why do the people need to know these numbers? Listen, when you're down this many officers, it's very important that people know that the likelihood of the response time, the number of officers that may be needed in mass quantity, if something happens to them or they're in an emergency situation, that may not be the case. Why is that important? So they know how to make wiser decisions in where they go because of where we are until we can get a handle on it. And plus, I feel a citizen needs to know who's policing them. The argument of whether criminals know, the criminals already know. They've already policed the area. They can count.
Representative Stokes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make a comment. I think that, and I'm a big supporter of limited government, and I think that we have very few true responsibilities in government, but public safety is one of them. And in education, which is another role of government, we have all kinds of accountability measures. We give schools grades. We change how they're funded based on grades. We take over schools if they're not performing well. We do all of those things as a state government. And if people don't know how many sworn officers you have or don't have, or what is a good number? How many should we have? Is it based on population? Is it based on the size of, and I don't know the answer to that, but I need a measuring stick. I need some way by which I can look at data to determine if we're moving in the right direction, because my expectation as a citizen is public safety from our government. And if we have no way to measure the performance of our public safety officers, whether it's a municipality, state, county, whatever it is, then we're not doing the same thing that we do with all of these other state agencies, education, and others where we have all these measuring sticks. So I think that we have to, I don't know where the buck stops. I was a county commissioner. I don't know how many times I've been sued as a county commissioner. I mean, it just, you just get named on everything. So that's just the way it goes. But
you didn't get arrested.
I did not get arrested, but I also did what I was supposed to do, and I was accountable for the expectations that the people had for me. So I think that wherever that falls, and that can be discussed at a later time to determine where that falls. But we need to identify who's responsible, and the public deserves numbers, period. And whether they understand the numbers or not, that's for a different day, and this will be a starting point to educate people.
All right,
Chairman, have we adopted the sub yet?
we have not. That's what we're discussing now as a sub. While we're on that subject, I'd like for you to let us know what sub, give us that number on that left-hand side.
The document at the top.
Yeah, it should be 11, start with 11.
You want me to start with the TMZ?
Yeah, give me the whole number, make sure everybody's got the same number.
TMZ-1.
That's right, everybody got that same sub? All right, we're singing all the same, that song. All right, do I hear a motion if I don't have any more discussion?
I move to adopt the sub.
All right, we have a motion, second.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise.
No, I'll adopt
All right, all right, Bill's giving a favor report.
All right,
All right, we have the sub is giving a favor report. Now is the bill as sub. Do I hear a motion?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, do we need to add in there that we would like to make sure that point person, either the chief executive officer on line 58 or another, somebody?
Well, I think it would need to be a motion, and I'd like to have the motions before we come. If you don't have one prepared, we can do it on the floor. Or if you want to just make a motion on that, making that, I guess we'll do that, but I think.
Can I mention something? I mean, what I'm willing to do is, it sounds like the sponsors agreeable, let them work with the agencies and make sure you get the terms right. And bring it on the floor and have a
Floor amendment.
That's what I'd rather do.
So-
I've done it.
Is that okay with you?
I just think it strengthens the bill if everybody knows this is,
where the buck stops.
this person is, well, it does say that each of these agencies, but then that's a little like,
Every now and then I get some down.
All
anyway.
right, we've got a motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise.
Nay.
The bill, all right, one no, okay. Bill as a sub has been given a favor report. Thanks. All right, next bill up would be HB 280, Representative Almond. You have the floor, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. This is HB 280. This is a bill that was brought to me by the city of Tuscaloosa. It's an issue that's affecting the city of Tuscaloosa and many other municipalities, frankly, counties as well, across the state. And the issue we're having is we have what we call unpermitted events. And these are, I call them pop-up parties. So these are parties that are advertised often on social media. They sell tickets, and there's an undisclosed location as to where the party will be until the last minute. And they disclose the location. People come from all over, and this might be hundreds of people that show up at a place that's ill-prepared to handle those people. Inevitably, we have issues that arise to the point that we have to dispatch police and all sorts of other resources to the scene to shut down the party. And oftentimes this is where some of our shootings are occurring, things of that nature. This is happening, it's a thing, and it's happening in many of our municipalities. The problem with it is it's such a drain on our resources. We will spend upwards of $100,000 a weekend shutting these parties down. It's extraordinary expenses, and we don't think the taxpayer should have to front that bill. What we're trying to do is we're trying to amend the existing bill that allows a municipality to commence a nuisance action to, in those specific instances of unpermitted events, to be able to recoup costs that are associated with that event, and they're specifically going after the promoter or organizer of the event. That's what, in essence, this bill does. There are two amendments that we've worked on and I'd like to offer. I had two different groups, Alpha and Realtors, come to me with issues from their communities, and so we've worked up two amendments. So I'll stop there, Mr. Speaker, and entertain any questions or ready to offer.
Anybody got any questions before we get on the amendments?
Yes, ma'am. So this is something that we, or in Birmingham, I know we've had challenges with, particularly around Expedition Driving, where they were last minute on Facebook or something. Hey, be at City Walk at 7 o'clock, at 6 o'clock, and so this is great. My question becomes, what authority do cities not already have the authority to disband those things? And then what is that process of collecting this money like? Just in a lawsuit, and we're suing these Facebook promoters. What is the likelihood of actually recouping any money? Like, what are we actually going to get out of it?
The answer to your first question is yes, they do already have the ability to abate the nuisance, as do counties and institutions of higher education under different statutes.
Yes,
But they have to pursue a nuisance action in court. I don't know what the likelihood is. I think they know who a lot of them are. Now, I don't have any idea as to the likelihood of actually recouping the cost, but they certainly want to make that one.
All right, any more questions? We got a, Representative Clark?
Yes, Representative Allen.
Good.
Good. So, does the bill, and I need to go back and look at it again, is there a definition of public nuisance in here?
Not in this
You know, because it could be in the
particular
eyes of the
section.
beholder.
No, it's defined in the code. Definitely. It's just not in this particular section.
Okay, so we're not trying to, stop peaceful protests, for example. We're just talking about things that get out of, well,
That's right. And most always those are permitted events anyway. If you have a permit to do it, that's not what this is about. So, yeah.
thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, I have an amendment.
Yes, sir.
This deals with liability of the property owner where this occurs. It says on line 33, page 2, with the following, if an action commenced pursuant to subsection A, then it deals with attorney fees to the prevailing plaintiff, subsection 2. Property owner, business owner, property manager, landlord that is not participating in or involved in the promotion of an event may not be held liable for any action brought pursuant to this subsection.
That was an amendment offered by the realtors. They can sort of wear two hats. They're definitely in favor of, private property owners being able to peacefully enjoy their property. On the flip side, they don't want unsuspecting landlords or property managers where these parties are popping up, who had nothing to do with the event, to be able to be sued. So that's the clarification.
All right, on that amendment, any questions?
They're protecting our hayfields, so that we don't have any parties we have out there.
All right, let's adopt that amendment. All in favor? Do I hear a motion? That's a motion that you got. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise. Amendment's given in favor report. Now, I've got an amendment. My amendment, I could read the page, but basically everything it does is strike the county. So it's anything out of the PJ. And this protects our farmers and, them on, if they're out there bush hogging early in the morning, or a cow being a problem, or whatever the case may be. We don't want that to be a problem. If they're logging, we don't want that to be a problem. So mine is,
Did you say that?
yeah. On which one?
If you want to give the document number
Oh,
up
yeah.
there, and that way.
Yeah. Well, make sure everybody's got the same document. It's 3PD1GVB-1. You should have everybody should have that on tap. So, do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, likewise. The amendment's given in favor report. Now, back on the bill, any more questions on the bill before we give it, pass it as it, vote on it as it amended? Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
All right, so moved. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise, Bill's given a favorable report. Thank you for your hard work today and phone calls last night.
You're so welcome, thank you, and thank those who work with me.
All right, next bill up is HB 57. Senator Kitchens, I'm sorry it's taking so long. Senator? Sorry it's taking.
You're fine.
Good job.
Uh-oh.
I don't even know if I can read my notes up here, but
Hey,
I'm gonna do my best.
We'll get you a box.
Are you a step stool? I really am gonna step off to the side. I'm so sorry. It's terrible, you know, short people problems. Thank you, Chairman. I appreciate it very much. Committee members, I appreciate you guys letting me come before you today. So HB 57 restores the power of annexation to city councils and county commissions where the power of annexation legally lies and has historically been the case. It prohibits the City Board of Education from purchasing or acquiring land without the municipality obtaining an agreement in writing from the appropriate governing body of the municipality or the county where the land is located, and the municipality served by the Board of Education annexes that property. Therefore, this is just simply preventing non-elected individuals, city boards, from annexing property by default. And this bill will restore and clarify the law per an Alabama Supreme Court ruling that recently happened where they recommended that we clarify the law to fix this. And with that, I'll sit my notes down and I'm happy to answer any questions you guys
Any
have.
questions for the sponsor? Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
All right, second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed likewise, Bill's given a favorable report. That's
Thank you.
easy one.
It was very
No
sincere.
amendments.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, committee members.
Bring a box next time.
I'll bring a step stool in the future.
All right, next bill up is Representative Butler, HB 252. Have that. All right, let's skip over. Senator Kitchens, your bill is a companion, Fillmore, is HB 286. Are you, which one are we gonna do?
Well, I can speak to both. Representative Paramore's here, but thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'll go ahead and start. This is a bill that passed unanimously out of the House last year, was on the calendar the last day of session in the Senate and didn't get through. So we started it over again. We've already been able to move the Senate version. But the premise behind this, the two main things that this will do is it streamlines the procurement process. So right now you have a 14-day timetable. A lot of contracts, a lot of bids are not protested. So you have 5 days to file a letter of intent to protest. If you don't file a letter of intent to protest in those 5 days, then it helps the project move a little quicker. And then also it streamlines it. Right now we have to have wet signatures and the wet notarization on these things. So it sets up where we can do some things electronically and kind of put us in this situation.
Any questions for the sponsor? Move for favorable report, second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, likewise, Bill's given a favorable report.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chairman,
you.
committee.
Thank you.
Did we do it in the Senate or the House?
That was.
Kitchens and Senate.
That was SB 36.
We need to get both of them.
Yeah, we do. Let's do, we do.
I'm gonna move, if it's the
Ditto.
Let's just go ahead.
Same, make a motion.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed, likewise.
That was
HB 286.
And who made the motion?
I did.
Sandra, in a second.
All right, before we close, you got something you want to say or no?
No, sir, I was just saying.
Let's keep Sam Jones, Representative Jones in our prayers, and Anthony Daniels. They're both having some issues with their health, and just keep them in your prayers.
Daniels, I saw him today, he looked like a picture of health.
Looked great, didn't he?
Yes.
Well,
Haven't
he's
seen Rep.
like a
Jones.
duck. He paddles like hell underneath him. But he is a good man. All right, thank you. Make a motion, we adjourn.
Motion.
We're adjourned.
Okay, so we're just.